kingdoms rising against kingdoms. The first thing that must happen is wars and kingdoms rising against each other and nations rising against nations. Well, that's happened. I mean, the Crusades, kingdom rising against kingdom. World War I, World War II, Vietnam, nation rising against nation. And even today, wars and nations are clashing. So that has already happened. So what is the next thing that he says must happen before he returns? Well, in verse 9, he says this: you will be handed over and persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me. Well, check that off the list. That has already happened too. It happened to the disciples. They were killed for their faith. And even today, believers all over the world are being killed because of their faith. And notice how he said that you would be hated by all nations. You see, when he said that you would be hated by all nations, he wasn't just speaking to the disciples. He was speaking to us, because at that time, all the nations didn't even know about Jesus. But to us, we are living in days where if you even claim to be one of those Jesus followers, you will get hate from every nation. So what is the next thing? What is the next thing he says must happen before he returns? Verse 10. At that time, many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate each other. And many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. And because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold. But the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. And this also we see today. I mean, how many have abandoned the faith? Do you see more people hating each other now than it used to be? I think so. You see hate like it hasn't been in a long time. You see false prophets and people who make claims that don't come true. Okay, let's check that off the list. So what is the next thing that he says must happen until the moment of his return? We've experienced the wars. Okay, we've had the wars. We have seen believers killed for their faith. We've seen hatred among people. What is the final thing that he says must happen before his return? Here it is, verse 14. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. And that's it. That's it. He says his return doesn't happen just after there have been wars and earthquakes. No, he says his return happens when every nation has heard the gospel